Welcome to the July reading wrap up. This was such a weird reading month for me. I read some really good books and even added to my all-time favorites list. And I also had some duds. Hi, I'm Molly. If you don't know me, I've been talking about books on the internet since like 2014. You can learn more about me in the links down below. I'm a freelance editor and a book blogger. So my world is books, and I'm glad you're here. Before we get into it, I do want to say that the Mollie Reads Book Club is going to be reading JUNIE by Erin Crosby Eckstine, for the month of August. So if that book is on your radar or you read it and loved it and want to discuss it, please join us over on the virtual book club. All the links are down below. I've heard really good things about it. I've heard it's like historical fiction and a really touching coming of age story with like a ghost sister element, little paranormal fantasy in there. I don't know. I'm very excited. Okay, I want to talk about Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid first. Now, this was a very hyped book, and I have to say, I wasn't sure. My expectations were high. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but I was pretty sure I was going to be destroyed and that I was going to cry a lot. And I was correct. This book completely destroyed me. So emotional, so gripping, so sweet. Honestly, if I had one criticism, it would be it was a little too sweet at times, like maybe a little too saccharine, but overall, a really compelling story, absolute page turner. Taylor Jenkins Reid just knows how to pull readers in. I was also so impressed by her knowledge of space and astronomy. I mean, one caveat there is that I'm not a space and astronomy person, so it doesn't take much to impress me. And I did hear from some reviewers that they wanted more emphasis on the astronaut part of the story, but I loved it. I will say Daisy Jones is always at the top of my Taylor Jenkins Reid list. But you know, how can you compare like Atmosphere to Malibu Rising? Like you just can't. They're so different. Atmosphere is about the space shuttle program and this one team of astronauts. It's a love story between two female astronauts who are, breaking glass ceilings and chasing their dreams that they never even thought were possible. It's a really moving story. If you like to read books about competitive goals and like career rivalries and complicated friendships because of that, I think you'll like this book. But yeah, Atmosphere will absolutely pull on your heartstrings in the best way. I still can't stop thinking about this book. Next, I want to talk about The Road to Tender Hearts by Annie Hartnett. Oh my gosh, if you follow me anywhere on the internet, you've heard me yapping nonstop about this book. I absolutely loved it. It's definitely in my all-time favorites list, along with her other book, Unlikely Animals, which is kind of crazy. But this one is so different from that one. This is a heartbreaking, heartwarming road trip story. It's a dark comedy, literary tragic comedy, which I'm learning is like one of my favorite kinds of books to read. It just talks about really heavy things, complicated things like death and grief, but handles it with such care and humor. Like there's so many moments of levity in this book. I laughed out loud many times despite the really difficult topics in it. This book just has everything you could want in a story. It has quirky characters, it has found family, intergenerational friendship, really interesting and layered storytelling and perspectives. It's just such a unique book. She has this omniscient point of view that she pulls off really well, which doesn't always happen. The Road to Tender Hearts is a book about a man named PJ, and he's kind of in the second act of his life. He's an alcoholic. He's still mourning the death of his daughter who died many years ago. He's divorced. His grown daughter doesn't really speak to him anymore. He's kind of aimless and really just doesn't have a lot of motivation in life. But one day, he decides to make a change and go on a road trip. And I'm going to be intentionally vague here because I don't want to give anything away. But he's getting ready to go on this road trip, and he is interrupted, let's say, by a surprise. And this surprise could be an obstacle, but he doesn't take it that way. And what follows is this wonderful, just tender really moving story about found family and about the grieving process and how we move on and how we come alongside other people. And it's just so touching. PJ is just one of those really flawed, complicated characters who's just big-hearted, larger than life kind of guy, and you just instantly love him and want to root for him, but sometimes you just want to punch his face too. Again, I don't want to say too much. I feel like I don't want to spoil elements of the book. I will say, though, John Irving has a great blurb on the back of the book. I feel like it gives you a taste of the road to tender hearts and what it's like. He says, a long-suffering family finds joy. A clairvoyant cat has premonitions of death and other supernatural talents. Vultures are hoping 2 orphaned children will stay alive. A dead daughter's hat talks to her father. A miraculous novel, an actual and spiritual road trip you won't forget. If you liked Remarkably Bright Creatures, if you liked Margot's Got Money Troubles, if you liked Little Miss Sunshine, very big on the Little Miss Sunshine vibes. So definitely pick it up if you haven't yet. Next, we have The Compound by Aisling Rawle, and you can see, you can see that this book is very loved. I read it at the lake, which was the perfect setting. This book I have complicated feelings about. So overall, I was enamored straight away. This is a book that is kind of pitched as Love Island meets Lord of the Flies or the Hunger Games, which as a reality TV gal myself, I was instantly very intrigued. It has everything I love about reality TV in like a dark and twisted sort of way. It really explores like the dark underbelly of reality TV and producer manipulation and like what we as a society, the links that we'll go to for, consumerism and fame. And it's just has a lot to say about influencer culture and how it can spur on rivalry and envy and jealousy and consumerism and just this like emptiness. I don't know. I really liked that it was set in like a near future dystopia where like, and just how these different outside factors seeped into the set of this reality TV show in interesting ways. It's really a character study at the heart of it, but it did have me on the edge of my seat for the most part. Till like pretty much the last page, I wanted to know what was going to happen. A lot of people are saying they felt like it was a slow burn. I did not feel that way. I thought the pacing was pretty great. So all of the reality TV, the dark dystopian parts of reality TV was like catnip for me. But I will say my hang up was at the end of the book, I felt like the ending was very abrupt. I did not like how it ended. I felt like it really lost a lot of the punch. I think it might have been a 4-star for me, but the ending knocked it down to a 3. Next, we have Slowburn Summer by Josie Silver, and I read this on my Kindle. I really enjoyed this book. It wasn't my favorite Josie Silver. I felt like it was like a 3-star romance. She does such a great job of creating these endearing characters, and it did feel like a 90s rom-com. This book is about a woman named Kate who is going through a divorce, and she reaches out to her talent agent from years ago when she was pursuing acting, and discovers that the talent agent has passed away and that his son is now running this talent agency. Anyway, she reaches out to him to try to find work and ends up getting work as how do I say this? An actor playing an author. A big best-selling author has written a book outside of their genre, and she gets to step in and pretend to be the author. And it's a really interesting look at the publishing industry and the idea of authenticity, especially in light of like AI and everything right now. I just thought it was a really interesting angle that Josie Silver took here. And Kate, who ends up, taking this role, she used to be a soap actress many years ago. And she is the perfect fit for this role, but things kind of escalate and snowball. and get really out of hand. This is a really cute romance. Definitely Slowburn Summer is the right title. It is a slow burn. I don't know about the sticking power for this book quite yet, but I did enjoy it. Okay, next I read The Names by Florence Knapp, and this book was so beautifully written. This is a heartbreaking, tender look at domestic abuse. I will say I won't be recommending this book to just anyone because it is quite dark. But one of the sharpest stories that I've read about domestic abuse, the author just does this really interesting thing where she's able to really like talk about domestic abuse in a nuanced way because of the structure of the novel. So this book is about a family, and it's told through 3 alternating and alternate timelines. It's a book about a woman named Cora who is stuck in an abusive marriage, and she's trying to decide what to name her newborn son. She has an older daughter as well named Maya, and she ultimately, the book explores 3 different paths for 3 different names for her son, and how the decision to name her son what she did kind of creates this butterfly effect. The author was able to really illustrate how toxic masculinity works and how our environments can create certain personalities and certain, traumas and struggles. It's a really beautiful and heartbreaking look at how men in our society are raised to be certain ways and how an abuser is made. It was so beautifully written and so touching and so interesting. But because it was very heavy, I found myself not really gravitating toward it as much. But I did ultimately want to finish the book, and I did ultimately find it to be a really incredible read. Definitely not one, like if you're in a reading slump, I wouldn't maybe pick it up. And if you're a sensitive reader, I would be very cautious. Exploring abuse and its effects on spouses and children and generations is not something you can do lightly as an author. And I really respect this one author and how she has created these different timelines. I can tell that she understands family dysfunction and abuse really well. I will say, if you're listening on audio, you might get a little confused with the different alternate realities. But yeah, I think certain readers will gravitate toward it and appreciate it for what it is. Okay, I also read Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, and this was a book club read for me, another book club read. I didn't love this thriller, but I enjoyed the reading experience because my book club, the virtual book club that I run with my friend Katie at Edits and Ink, we were on Voxer chatting it up the whole time we were reading. So that was really fun to like hear people's thoughts as they were reading the book, what their theories were. It's always fun to do with like a whodunit. I did not love this book. I felt like all of the murder was, even though it's like a cozy murder, maybe mystery, I just didn't feel like there were high enough stakes, and I didn't feel like people were responding to the murders in a realistic way. I have a really hard time connecting with characters when I don't feel like there's any redeemable qualities there. So I just struggled with this one. Also, there was a ton of backstory and like reflection. There wasn't a lot of like interspersed dialogue or action. And I struggled with that. I will say I seem to be in the minority here. A lot of the people in my book club loved it. And a lot of the reviews I've seen online, people loved it. So I don't know, maybe it was just the wrong time for me. I did physically read and listen to this book, which is usually the most immersive way for me to read a book. This book is about a family that's reunited after years of avoidance to celebrate their grandmother's 80th birthday. And ultimately, like a family inheritance, family dysfunction drama, murder mystery would really work for me, but it just didn't in this case. They all show up at Nana's house, which is this place called Sea Glass, and it's like this crumbling Gothic house on this little tiny tidal island. They all selfishly want grandma's fortune, and they're all curious about why Nana was so insistent that they gather. At midnight, a storm begins, and they all realize that they're stuck on this island in the middle of the storm, and someone is murdering them one by one. Family secrets, resentments, mysteries are unraveled. I don't want to say too much, but I just feel like the twist didn't really work for me and I was kind of bored. Next, we have One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This was my first Carly Fortune book, so maybe that will tell you a little bit more about why I'm reviewing it this way, but I thought it was just okay. This is like the summer romance of 2025, I feel like. And I did really enjoy certain moments of it. I love a nostalgic summer read where like you're coming back to a place where you used to be as a teen and you're like remembering your first love or your first crush. That kind of thing is like usually really fun for me in a romance. But I don't know, there was something about Charlie and Alice that felt a little bit, I don't know, it just didn't quite work for me. Maybe I just didn't understand the Charlie lore before this, because I know there were other books that she's written that, you know, go into all about Charlie's life and everything. But I don't know, it was just okay. I really liked the family dynamics. I loved the relationship that she had with her grandmother. I've said this before, and maybe this is just me, like maybe I just need to take a break from the romance genre, but I feel like I'm noticing this trend where authors kind of do this like emotional trauma dumping between characters, and they use that as like a way to build tension and character development and like love. I understand that like knowing someone's traumas and their past and it is a part of knowing who they are and a part of like falling in love with someone, but something about it can feel a little bit contrived. I don't know. That said, I can absolutely enjoy a romance or a thriller for what it is and not think too much about it. I feel like there was something about this romance that was a little bit slow for me. And all the other parts of the book were my favorite part, other than the romance. Like, I liked the family dynamics. I liked the setting. I really liked Alice's, like, career aspirations and that whole side of the story. And I would definitely pick up one of her books again. I still think she's a great romance author. I think it's just my expectations were really high for this one. So that's it. Those are the 7 books that I read in July. I also was reading The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. I have pressed pause on that because I think it's just not the right time for me, but I might recap it in August. So that's everything I read in the month of July, my reading wrap up. Let me know if you read any of these books and you want to keep talking about them, gushing about them. I would love, love, love nothing more. And I do hope to see you over at book club. Again, the Mollie Reads Book Club, links down below. I also have the No Thanks We're Booked book club, which is a virtual book club that I run with my friend Katie. And I can't say no to the book clubs. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you next time.